Hello, everyone, and welcome to the FEE3 2025 interview for Power of Personality by Rammerrush. I'm here, my name's Olivia, with the lead dev. Say hi.
Hi, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to you, Liv.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. So let's just get right into the interview content itself. What kind of game is Power of Personality? What can players expect from this title?
So, Power of Personality, or POP, POP, as I like to call it, is really at its core just a test to see how much I could do with Lex Talionis and how far away from a Fire Emblem game I could use a Fire Emblem engine to make.
Mm-hmm,
Kind of
mm-hmm.
similar to how Myriad Fortunes is a blackjack game. It has no tactical gameplay at all. However, this game I still wanted to be tactical. I still wanted it to be a strategy game, kind of like Fire Emblem, but different. I also wanted it to have roguelike elements, kind of similar to Embrace of the Fog.
Another
That kind
Lex
of thing.
Talionis roguelike.
Yes,
It's clearly
uh,
become just the roguelike engine, huh?
of course, really. But I still wanted, I still wanted it to play like a Fire Emblem game, but not quite. Still like different, another kind of tactical game like Final Fantasy Tactics.
Right.
Hmm.
So then, sounds like there's a lot in this game that would set it apart from more standard Fire Emblem fare. How much of that do you think is still going to be familiar to Fire Emblem players, and what do you think is going to be like really brand new for them?
So it still has the tactical gameplay. You go from square to square to square. But unlike Fire Emblem, all of the generic enemies are randomly generated to be different faced, have different backgrounds, different personalities, different skills, different classes. And your party will consist of enemies that you've recruited onto your side, most of your party at least, aside from, specific main characters. And the biggest change aside from the generic enemies is the roguelike, the overworld map where you choose the path to kind of decide what encounter you run into, whether you fight a battle or whether you get to a shop or a camp.
Right. I love
And
stuff like that. I think it's
yeah,
really,
it's
really
always fun.
interesting to see how Fire Emblem gameplay can slot into that kind of framework.
Yeah, I always love using the Lex Talionis game to do interesting things. For instance, in the camp, you have all these downtime activities. You can cook, you can meditate, you can train, you can work at a tavern to make money. Uh, and you also have personalized skill boards for all these units that you can then attribute stat ups and skills, similar to the license board in Final Fantasy 12 or the sphere grid in Final Fantasy 10. And you can
Ooh,
basically decide how your units grow and become more powerful, or whether you want them to become more powerful at all.
interesting stuff. So
Hmm.
what were some big inspirations for this game? Obviously, there's some roguelike inspiration in there. You mentioned Final Fantasy Tactics. Are there any
Yeah.
specific games that you were really drawing from to
Well,
get
so
these ideas?
so it all started out with Persona and SMT. One of my favorite aspects of those games is the ability to talk to the enemies. You have a conversation with them, and in the end, they either join you, or they give you an item, or they run away. And I was like, how can I make a system similar to that for an LT game? And while I was thinking of that, I remembered the Myers-Briggs personality types existed.
Yeah.
Yeah. And slowly I was like, oh, yeah, all of the questions can be based on their personality types. Oh, this kind of personality would like that kind of answer and that kind. And, it's just, binary. It's one or the other for these four different types. It's fairly simple. And I just replaced affinities with Myers-Briggs personality types for all the units. And then you can recruit them based on the kind of personality they have. But besides that craziness, Final Fantasy Tactics, Dungeons and Dragons actually inspired a lot of the skills and the general structure of roguelites and how there's a gameplay loop, an obvious gameplay loop, really
Hmm,
did
hmm.
influence like, okay, what's the kind of structure of this game going to look like?
Yeah, I remember when I saw the trailer for this project, you had Scorching Ray and stuff like that on some of the characters,
Mhm.
and that's straight out
Yeah,
of D&D spellbook.
exactly. Yeah, I was like, okay, well, I need to make a bunch of spells. Where's a bunch of spells? Looked right to Dungeons and Dragons.
So your game, as you mentioned before, uses the Lex Talionis engine. And for
Mhm.
anyone who's not familiar with Lex Talionis, that is a fan game engine that tries to replicate FEGBA, like
Mhm.
games like FE8, FE7, FE6, but isn't actually run through an emulator. And so you can do way wilder things with it. You have far more control over it because instead of trying to modify a ROM and getting it to cooperate with us, we can do more or less anything we want within the limits of the engine. And a lot of people who make Lextalianus games take a very, very, very different approach to game design than people who work within GBA because of the limits and differences between the tool sets. How do you think, for you personally, those extra possibilities that the engine provides have sort of impacted your creative process?
So, I mean, I started out with LT. I never got into the hacking. I tried it once and it was just way over my head. I could not figure it out. So, once I learned about Lex Talionis, I was like, "Oh man, I could probably figure that out." And I tried the Legacy edition, which was very much just a lot of code, and I couldn't do it. But once I found Maker, LT Maker, the newest version with the UI and everything, oh my god, I figured it out. I devoted myself to learning every aspect of this engine, and now after making, I guess this would be my 5th project,
Wow.
I know it, yeah, by the back of my hand, and I just find myself spoiled by all the things I can do with it. There's just an itch in my brain that makes me think it's no longer enough to just make a game in the style of FE and LT. No, you've got to do something crazy like Dies or Embrace of the Fog or Myriad Fortunes, something that's just weird and out there that you couldn't really handle with hacking. And I honestly, I think a lot of people kind of want something unique too when they're playing especially like a fan game. They're not looking for just more of the same, in my experience.
Yeah, exactly. Gosh, you
Yeah.
mentioned you mentioned Dies. I wish I'd gone to interview Sigma Raven. That would have been so funny.
That would have been,
That
yeah.
would have been awesome. I should go yell at him about that. Get mad at him
Mhm.
for taking my opportunity. Anyway, gosh, so 5 projects you said. That's a lot.
Mhm.
How do
Yeah,
you?
no, it was a so it's Tactics of Taming, a Royal Summons, Fate of the Fallen, Myriad Fortunes, and now Power of Personality.
Right, right. How do you think you've grown as a developer, sort of between those projects and this sort of in Power Personality, the newest one you've got? Like, how have you evolved? What lessons are you taking forward from those games into this one?
Well, honestly, I think the biggest way that I've grown has been originally when I would make a game. I like when I first started working on Fate of the Fallen, which is the first game I started working on. I started with a script. I started writing it out from beginning to end and like, okay, this is the main story of the script. Then I worried about diving in and learning the engine and learning the dev work and all that stuff. But now I know the engine so well that more often than not, I decide on the weird game mechanic. Like in this, I was like, okay, Myers-Briggs, personality, persuasion. Okay, great. Let's decide that game mechanic. And then afterwards, like, okay, great, I figured it out. I can recruit enemies just like this. It's perfect. What's the story? What am I doing now? And that's how I've been writing. Like that. That's kind of the similar process for Myriad Fortunes and a Royal Summons as well. Was like, okay, great, these weird game mechanics, and now I have to, justify a reason for players to play this game, a story for them to enjoy. And more often than not, it's kind of like improv is the way I
Right.
find it. It's improvised storytelling. Very similar to D&D or anything like that. And it comes out really well in my personal opinion. It's not like perfectly polished, but it's fun, and for these smaller projects, like it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be a fun ride.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's something
Yeah.
that's nice and easy and carries the tone of the project and keeps people invested without necessarily being
Mhm.
a massive time investment workload pillar of the
Yeah.
design.
And if nothing else, I've certainly gained an inordinate level of confidence.
Hey, confidence is good. We love confidence.
Yeah, it's how you make a bunch of games. Nobody
So,
releases games if they're not confident about it.
so I'm going to actually modify the next question to be a little more specific.
Sure.
Because it's very obvious what sets your game apart from its peers. But in terms of the moment to moment tactical gameplay, you've talked a
Mhm.
lot about systems outside of the maps themselves that make this
Yeah.
game unique. Things like how you get your units, how they grow, etc., etc. But in terms of how maps play, what is it that is sort of unique and distinct about this game's gameplay?
So at the moment, the maps themselves, they are smaller maps. They are all about 10 by 15, about a screen size of map, and they usually have a larger number of enemies than yours, and they grow with you as you go throughout the runs. The higher level your units are, the better their stats. The more the enemies you encounter, the better their stats will be. And because of that, that means like, okay, I got to keep recruiting them so I can get my party stronger. But then as your party gets stronger, they get stronger, and it's a vicious cycle.
Right.
And
That
when you
makes
fight
sense.
them, each of the classes, basically every level, they get a new skill. And those skills, some classes have a different, like, oh, okay, the mage class will have like, oh, he's on the fire line, he's learning fire spells, the ice line, learning ice spells, that kind of thing. But generally, like, okay, this guy is a level 5 fighter, a level 5 warrior. He's got these skills. I got to avoid this. Kind of like you'll learn these things, but you do have to like look at the info for the first time to learn what a skill does.
When you say skills, a
Yes.
lot of people are going to think like a
Oh, sure,
like skill
sure.
system Fire Emblem skill. But the way that you've talked about this, it sounds like they work a little
Yes.
differently.
Yeah, so basically, the skills themselves are mostly abilities or combat arts, that you use in battle. It's less like, while you're within 2 tiles of an ally, you get a bonus to this. They're much more active.
Right.
There are a few like stat boosts levels, like, oh, you get a bonus to your attack stat as a warrior or something. But I try to make them interesting levels for more or less. And the important part about this, that the thing that you have as a player that the enemy doesn't. The enemy, levels up as their classes, but as a player, you can change your unit's classes, and you can master skills that you've learned from previous classes to carry over into other classes.
Interesting.
So you could be a mage that has access to the warrior skills and still have like a high strength, but casting spells at the same time, and like mishmash a custom build for all of your units and be really crazy.
It really is
And
5e inspired. We've even got
yes,
gishes.
yes, exactly. The dream, the hope would be to have like, oh, you've mastered these specific spells, you've unlocked a secret class kind of situation,
Ooh, that could be fun,
like,
yeah.
oh, yeah, you chose to master these 8 skills in this order. That means that you've unlocked a death mage kind of thing or something.
Hopefully not super, super precise, or else how'd you ever find them naturally, right?
Yeah, it would be something obvious, or I'd have to start releasing a guide for it.
Oh, the Prima Strategy Guide.
Exactly.
Heck
Yep.
yeah, one of the big tomes. Oh my
I
gosh.
miss them.
Oh, I had one for Oblivion back in the day that was like the size of a child. It's so big. That thing must have
I
been like
I
20
uh
pounds.
I have one back from for Final Fantasy 13 2, that it was back when they were trying to make them look fancy so people would want to buy them more. And it was like
Awesome.
hardbound and like white, and like, ooh, it's got like a binder attached to it, like that you can keep it closed and nice looking nice. And it's way too much effort to put into a strategy guide.
Please don't go to GameFAQs. Please, please, please don't go to
Yeah.
GameFAQs. Please buy our book.
You can't trust Google.
Anyway, we're coming up on the last of the questions here.
Sure.
So let's get to this part's my favorite. Tell me what your favorite part of the project is. The thing that you just like get the most like silly, goofy joy out of.
Honestly, my favorite part of this project in particular is the weird stuff that I spent way too much effort on to make come to reality.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, in this guy right here, when you defeat an enemy, when one of your units falls, they leave behind their bodies, and you can potentially, give them a revive potion to bring them back up. Or if you wait too long, they are removed from the map and die, and you lose access to them. And but to do that, to make it so that you could leave behind a body on the map and walk over it like you could in FFT, I had to do so many events and so many lines of code to keep track of where the body is when revived, so that the proper body is removed, so that if a body falls in the same spot, there won't be an issue when I revive them, so that the right body drops when it was so many events and so complicated, more complicated maybe even than blackjack. And, but I'm so happy that I did it, because it's beautiful, it looks nice, and I'm very proud of it and happy with it.
Stuff like that's super satisfying. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what makes like the game design part of game development really really satisfying.
exactly.
Is when you get that
Yeah.
like big idea that you're just like, oh, this is gonna be a huge pain in the ass, but
Mhm.
damn it, is it gonna be worth it?
I should also mention that so all the enemies are randomly generated, and their notes pages are full of like uh, aspects of their life, like their fear, their secret, their past, and some of them are hilarious because it'll be like their goal is to get married. They have a fear of women.
Oh
uh,
no.
their favorite food is cheese. It's these random things that you put them together and it's like, oh, that's adorable. I love this guy. I want to recruit him into my army. I can't kill him. He has a dream to make his parents proud. How can I kill him?
Stuff like that's really cute.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, from what you've described about the game, I don't know if asking about a chapter count is necessarily appropriate
Well,
question, but how
sure.
long do you think it might take for somebody to have what you might consider to be a proper playthrough of this game?
So currently, what's released is more of a proof of concept demo. The it's about a full game's length, about a smaller game, but full length. But it is not complete, and to complete it would the scope has increased so much that it's a project that I would need like a full team to accomplish.
Right.
Uh,
Interesting.
yeah, but at the moment, this proof of concept demo, it's a gameplay loop of about 10 encounters, and some those encounters can be fights or they can be camps or shops. So it's not always, about fighting enemies. Sometimes you're like, okay, I need to use this loop to get some good weapons. But once you fight the final boss for the first time, they will wipe the floor with you. There's no way you'll be strong enough to take on that encounter. But that's when the loop restarts. And then you go through the loop again, and after another 10 encounters, you get a second shot. And in general, what I found is that it takes if you if you know what you're doing, it can take 5 to 6 runs. But if this is your first time running into a project like this, which isn't surprising because this is such a unique project, it could take maybe 10 loops to actually get that final boss down.
Right. And is there like a meta progression kind of thing to help players who might be struggling?
Yes, yes. So when you progress, you keep all of your units and your items and your stats. The only time that you lose a unit is when you let them die in battle and their body disappear, or when they get so exhausted. There is an exhaustion meter, not just fatigue, but like exhaustion. If that hits their max, then they ask, "Hey, I'm tired. I need to leave. Please let me go." And you can say no. You could say, hell no, I like you too much. You're staying here. I'm going to make you not exhausted. Uh, and until you give them items or heal them from their exhaustion, they'll have like a stat debuff. So they'll be basically useless in battle. But if you do let them go, they give you an item to allow you to change your class into the class that they were,
Oh, that's
which is
fun.
the only way for you to get class changing items. So you're encouraged to be like, yeah, please leave. You're good. We'll get somebody else. We'll
Get the
recruit a new
hell
person.
out of here.
Yeah, just give me
Go
your armor and get out.
away. All right. Well, that's all the questions we've got. Do you have any closing remarks? That maybe anything you want to say to the audience or
Mhm.
things that you wanted to talk about that I didn't cover with any of my questions?
Well, so like I mentioned, this is a proof of concept demo. This is not a fit. This is not the end all be all of proof of personality or
Mm,
power of personality. But it is what I can do right now at this point. I would in a dream world, I'd be able to put together a team that was interested in making this longer and bigger. Because in my mind, the full game of this would be like 5 times as long. It would be like you'd go from. It would consist of a 7-day cycle where you go through one of 3 routes where your goal is to take on some powerful boss. And as you move through the route, you'd unlock shortcuts so that eventually you'd be able to beat all those bosses in one day, which would then, unlock the final boss. The meta progression being, hey, I unlocked a new shortcut. Woo!
right.
And that would be the game. But because I don't have a team, I've done this and be like, okay, maybe one day. It's on the back burner now. I've
Right,
got I've
right.
got Fate of the Fallen 2 to work on and more supports to write than I'd care to admit. But if anything I've said here has gotten people interested in trying out Power of Personality or any of my other games, I encourage them to join the Discord server, hang out with some other cool people who are into the same kind of weirdness as them, and maybe they'll be able to help me find that encouragement to finally go and find other people who want to make Power of Personality full length, insane project, hundreds of hours, super customization for all the units.
The ultimate fan game.
Yes, that's the world I dream of. Make a Kickstarter for it, be the next Dark Deity. I'll get you to write for it.
Can you imagine working on Dark Deity? That'd be crazy.
It would be insane.
All right, well, sorry. Thank you so much. I had a lot of fun. Your game sounds very, very, very interesting.
Well, all you have to do, join the Discord server and you can download it.
Yeah.
It is playable currently.
I wish you all the luck in hopefully being able to get a team together. That would be very, very cool. And if not, then good luck on whatever you do next, obviously.
Yes, you need to remind me before FE3 comes out, I do need to make a thread for this.
Ooh, yes. If you do, then, dear audience, you'll be able to find it in the description of this video. If not, then I'm sure you can join the Discord that I believe is already linked and yell at Ram about it.
Yes, of course. I'll make an FEU thread that doesn't have a download link. It just has a link to the Discord server. So you have to join anyway.
Anyway, thank you so much.
Thank you.
If you enjoyed this interview, everybody, there will be more like it throughout the event. Of course, alongside all our other lovely showcases. And I hope you check out this project. I hope you check out more interviews. I hope you have a wonderful FE3. Goodbye, everyone.
Everybody have a great FE3. Mwah, bye.
See ya.